Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 2 in the series between TLO and Failo here on Cloud Kingdom. TLO spawning as the red Zerg on the bottom left-hand side of the map, meanwhile Failo spawning as the blue Terran on the top right. This is going to be a Terran versus Zerg matchup, and we'll see if Failo will be able to rebound from Game 1 after TLO opened up with Swarm Host Nidus Network to really put Failo back on his heels. Now, I think one of the reasons why that particular strategy works out so well for Zerg players in general is many Terran players don't really think of getting detection, especially when going up against a Zerg player. Zerg players have generally been avoiding Baneling bombs or burrowed Banelings play, as that is a little bit more unpredictable. With the introduction of Swarm Hosts as burrowed units that can attack, a lot of Terran players haven't really quite figured out what they need in order to fight back. Now, one thing that I do want to make a note of, if you guys didn't know, you do not need a research burrow for the Swarm Host to actually burrow in order to engage an attack. It's not like in the campaign where the Swarm Hosts just simply root themselves. No, they actually burrow themselves. Root is not an upgrade, or sorry, burrow is not an upgrade, as we now see a drone making its way down and will grow up to be a hatchery here at what I'll call the 8 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Failo is now going in for a command center first, and a very, very risky one at that. So it is a command center first here. Also, a weird positioning on this supply depot. The supply depot is not quite next to the ramp there, so it is not going to be a complete, not completely flush right there. There's actually a little bit of a gap. Anyways, let's take a look at what's going to be going down, as we are having this Overlord now making its way inside the natural expansion, and TLO is going to know what is going on in this game. Coming back around, TLO has not established up his extractors just quite yet. You can already tell that he is rallying his drones down here to the natural expansion, and he wants to try to get 16 drones on these mineral patches as quickly as possible. He has a number of options for a third base. Most likely this is going to be the location here, and we'll see when this is taken. Now, if you remember in the previous game, I believe TLO did pretty much go off of 2 bases only for quite some time, and that was pretty much all he really needed to do. Marine will be trained up here in just a second. We can see a queen now being trained up at each of the hatcheries. Always a benefit to have a queen, as the queen does not require the use of larvae, which means the hatcheries can produce that without really hurting your economy, unlike the training of Zerglings. Double orbital command, double refinery now coming in, but the refineries only has 2 SCVs on each gas. Very important to note there. Very, very good return rate for each of those SCVs. I believe it is, each of those SCVs are essentially mining at 40 a minute, as opposed to, say, I believe it comes up to 35 a minute when you do have 3 workers each. So far, we are going to be getting into that bunker now. We can see also the reactor coming in. Failo now going into reactor Hellion play once more, or he could try to be a bit defensive and try to come in with some Whittle Mines. I do believe that Hellions will perhaps be the opening of choice, as we now see TLO getting up the extractor, doesn't have enough gas yet, and it will be quite some time before he has enough gas for metabolic boost. Failo currently behind by about 15 supply, but he does have the benefit of those mules. 6 more drones still coming in from TLO, and Failo is really going to have to come out on top and get in a lot of damage with these Hellions. If he can perhaps take down 4 to 6 drones with these Hellions, that would be a nice reset button, at least for him, forcing TLO to train up more drones, as opposed to going into more roaches or some other roaches, hydralisk, or zerglings. Interestingly enough, we are going into an armory, we are going into a starport, so this normally means for me that we are going to be seeing some Hellbat play. Hellbats very, very strong, but they do take a large amount of room inside the cargo bay of those Hellion, or of that medevac there, as we now see that the armory is nearing completion. And are we going to perhaps start seeing the double training? What is this? Double engineering bay All right, I don't really know what's going on. You can see that the medevac is being trained. Hellions now making their way down here. Is it going to get enough damage? Oh, it looks as though the creep tumor could get taken down. And, oh, yes, it does get taken down. A little bit of splash damage there as the queen standing right on top and then allows that splash damage to go through. Hellion now should perhaps be taking a look at that third base. Does he know about it? Doesn't quite know about it. There he sees it. He spots it, and there is a queen already there. The Hellions now looking to take apart this hatchery, but they will not be able to do so. And all they can do is just huff and puff and blow those flames as a spine crawler now making its way over. Not much can really be done. There you can have it. The spine crawler is going to be rooting itself, and those units are now all backing off. So far, we are transferring over into 3-3 here. We are going into perhaps bio play. As you can see, double engineering bay and more barracks now being trained up. TLO does spot this all, but I do not believe he spots this Hellbat drop. Hellbat now going to be coming along the far side. It looks like he's going to be cutting across the corner and be completely unnoticed by his opponent. All right, are we going to get the afterburners? Ignite afterburners and now come in here. Here you go. Now going to try to ignite the afterburners, simply flying by the spore crawler here. And are we going to drop? Yes, we are. Zerglings. Damage is being dealt. Queen now trying to come in, and the Hellbats are not going to be in a very good position at all. You can see that those Hellbats are inside, looking to do a little bit of a dance there, able to get off some damage, and oh, ignite afterburners only to get shot down out of the sky. Failo living up to his name, so to speak, as he was unsuccessful. So far, 1-1 upgrades now also going into ship and vehicle upgrades, so he will have stronger medevacs and perhaps stronger siege tanks and Hellions and Hellbats. You can see that the Hellbats with 1 armor will take a lot more of hits from these Zerglings before they're taken down. But Baneling's already coming in from TLO, as TLO is just looking like he's in absolute control of the game, knowing perhaps when Failo is going to try and do something. Meanwhile, back over here, double Hellbats now coming in for another drop. How much damage will be done as another drone does get taken down? Only 1 kill for one, 2 kills on the other. That is not much of anything, as we are now taking a look at that Hellbat here. Hellbats all getting in some splash damage. Are the drones going to fall? You can see how much damage how much damage these Hellbats can do, and it is torching many of those Zerglings. Let's take a look at the losses. 900 versus 700. TLO just playing this beautifully, as you now see Hellbats, Hellions, Marines, and Marauders looking to take down this hatchery here. All right, the Hellbats getting in a nice torch there. Banelings now walking their way over. This could potentially be bad, and it is bad, as the one Hellbat tries to fight off a sea of Zerglings, and the Banelings didn't even need to get involved. So far, our command center about, 18% completed. We are taking a look. The Marines are attempting to shoot down this Overlord here. It looks like it will get shot down with little to no effort, as there it goes. There goes that Overlord, and now limiting the site movement. We are going to perhaps see a Marine medevac drop. No, not quite yet. Also, another thing to note is that there is no combat shield on these Marines. So the Marines, even though they do look a little bit beefier and stronger than your typical Garden variety Marine, they do not have the combat shield for the additional 10 hit points. One SCV, a little gung-ho, wants to bring his canister of Vespian gas over. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this. Marauders, Marines, and Widow Mines now on the move. How much damage can be dealt? Are we perhaps going to see Widow Mines burrowed up on the high ground to attack the low ground? That could deal some damage, as we now see more Marines and Marauders being brought over. This is always a dangerous play, though, fighting on creep, as Banelings are very, very fast. You can see one Widow Mine is going to burrow here. How many units? Oh, the Widow Mine could get off a lot of damage there, and the Marines, here you have it. The Banelings need all back off. This is going to be very, very bad position there, as the Widow Mines, the Banelings quickly take down that Hellbat. All right, still fighting out there. There's another beautiful splash damage and splash hits. One Widow Mine with 25 kills already. That is a huge, huge hit there, as the Banelings are now finding their target. How much damage will be done? Widow Mines now getting cleaned up, as the medevacs need to ignite afterburners and get the heck out of dodge. So far, Marauders and Marines are back together here. More units will get unloaded, and perhaps we will see pressure here at the 4th base. TLO is currently down in supply, and army supply is 67 for Failo, but where are the rest of these units as the Marines and the Marauders are moving out very impressively? 2-1 upgrades. Failo has the larger army, but he has not been able to really do much with this. All right, Overlords quickly going to get shot down. There it goes. And now here we go into the 3rd base. No siege tanks, no real way to take down all of these Zerglings, as we now are going to see a Widow Mine burrow in order to engage Banelings. Now trying to come in, and are we going to perhaps see a little bit of a split here? Spine Crawlers quickly taken down, and TLO deciding to not engage just quite yet, as the Marines are all trying to back and split apart. It looks like enough splitting is done, as Failo is going to be able to clean up perhaps and take down a lot of these drones. All right, drones now getting taken down. Hatchery looks like it will get taken down as well. Hellbat trying to finish off the rest here, as there is one Spore Crawler. All right, Medevac getting fungal growth, now trying to perhaps back away. Where are all of these units going to be going? They are going to be getting the heck out and perhaps getting back up onto the high ground. So many Marines are low on hit points, but the chitinous plating and Ultralisk now coming in from TLO. TLO still running on 3 bases with an additional macro hatch. You can see Zerglings attempting to take down all of these mules. Not going to really work, as Failo does have enough units over here in order to protect. We can see that there are Marauders and Marines all engaging here. Another Overlord is going to get shot down, as Zerglings perhaps going to try to do a run by. Infestors now coming in. Perhaps they will get off a fungal growth. All of these units need to get away, as here you go. A beautiful fungal growth. The Marines trying to split up a little bit more. The Banelings not really finding their targets, as Failo getting a lot of mileage out of his Marines, splitting them up and making sure that one Baneling hit doesn't do it all. Failo now moving forward with 6 Widow Mines. Is this going to be enough here? As we also see Ultralisk back over here as well. The Ultralisk are very, very beefy units, and is it going to be enough with just Widow Mines to handle them? Okay, here comes the Ultralisk Widow Mines. Oh, are they going to burrow in time? Oh, yes, they are, and there is a whole bunch of damage dealt there. All right, Overseer is now coming in. Ultralisk taking a lot of damage. There goes one. Another Overlord will get taken down. All of the Widow Mines have been cleaned up. Overseers have arrived at the party, as you now see another Widow Mine hit, going pretty much straight up onto an Overseer. Marauders and Marines trying to engage here. It looks like no, all the units will simply just get picked up and be able to escape once more. Beautiful play by Failo in order to get back into his defensive posture. So far, Failo continuing to train up more Marines, Marauders, and Widow Mines. Also going for the Drilling Claws, as Zerglings now cleaning up here at the 3rd base. Zerglings now taking down the refinery, perhaps going to deal a little bit more damage once again, as we now see a large attack on the front door. Ultralisk, however, getting choked up. And will they be able to make their way through? No, they will not, as Failo now tries to transfer some SCVs over here to his 3rd base. It is 3 bases to 4. TLO still now saturating his 4th base once again, rebuilding everything. And let's take a look at the army supply. 71 versus 68. We are pretty much neck and neck at this point. But the Ultralisk with 3-5 upgrades already at the 18-minute mark. Meanwhile, the Marines and the Marauders are only 2-2, soon to be 3-3. Are the Widow Mines going to be able to do anything at all? One thing about Widow Mines is that their damage does not increase. I do not believe they increase with upgrades. I don't see it getting increased with upgrades, as we now also see the Ultralisk making their way through again. All right, Widow Mines not getting that many kills. Marauders up on the high ground, going to shoot down an extractor. No, decides not to. And now just going to start barreling away at all the drones on the low ground here. All right, Ultralisk now trying to make their way over. Is it going to be enough? The Marauders and the Marines are trying to split, and it is going to be a decent enough split. But Zerglings are coming in from behind once more. Widow Mines all in position. Is that Widow Mine in range? No, I do not believe so. Meanwhile, a couple Marauders and Marines being left behind, only to get ripped apart by Ultralisk again. TLO now taking a huge supply advantage, as he has just constantly been able to produce Oh, what was that sound? Always been able to produce more and more, and now has a 60 supply advantage over his opponent. Widowmine's now trying to get into a better position. Is it going to really matter, though, as TLO has such a large standing army? 56 supply compared to 88. Worker supply 76 versus 63. And one Widowmine does burrow itself just in time. Is it going to perhaps take down a queen at all? Or the queen's going to get within range? All right, there is some attack there as... I do not believe that's going to be enough. More creep now being added as a huge attack now happening here at the third base. I believe this is the beginning of the end. Failo does not have enough to really fend off the attack. Fungal growth doesn't really hit on anything. A beautiful hit of Widow Mines to really just deal a lot of damage here. And it looks like though all of these 4 Widow Mines burrowing themselves was just enough to now push back once again. Ultralisk going after all of these Marines and the Marauders. The Marines and the Marauders now perhaps trying to chase. Is it going to be enough here as there goes the Ultralisk? And now we see more Zerglings now making their way inside the main base and also the natural expansion. Zerglings pretty much attacking at every which point and every which way as TLO's income is now much, much stronger than Failo's. And I do believe that TLO is going to be taking game 2 in this best of 3 as Failo is just not able to deal with all of these Ultralisks. Ultralisks with 5s or 6 armor. So difficult to take down. Marauders, Marines, Siege Tanks, all of them seem to just melt away to Ultralisk. Widowmine's a very, very strong attack though, especially if the Widowmines can hit a group of Ultralisks. You can see all of their hit points just essentially melt away in a flash. Alright, coming in, one queen. Looks like it will be able to get away. Marauders do not have concussive shells. And we are going to see the Zerglings now trying to engage the Marines. What is going to be happening here? The Zerglings now trying to do a quick swarm. Ultralisk coming in from the high ground as well. There's the Abduct as the Medevac unable to heal up any more of those units. Are they going to be able to pick up more units? One lucky Marine is going to be able to escape. But all he can really see right now is a whole bunch of Ultralisks now on the ground. Alright, one lone SCV gets taken down. You can see an orbital command down over here at the 3 o'clock position. TLO pretty much doesn't know about it, but he can simply ignore it. Take out this base instead. And with that, I do believe the GG will be coming in. Failo more than 100 supply down. And yeah, anytime you got to lift up your bases, that is pretty much the end of everything. TLO in trouble. Oh, abducting Ultralisk onto the high ground. Cute play by TLO as he's able to abduct his own units, pull them up onto the high ground, and make the map seem much, much smaller. Brilliant move there, or just adding insult to injury, however you want to talk about it. It was still very, very nice to watch. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this best of 3 series, TLO versus Failo. TLO winning in 2 straight games.